Welcome back out to Uptown Charlotte for day 3 of ACC football kickoff. We've got another jam-packed 7 straight hours of ACC football coverage all day long as we take a deep dive into our final 5 schools: North Carolina, NC State, Boston College, Wake Forest, and the defending champs are here. Clemson is in the building. ACC kickoff starts right now. All right, that was North Carolina head coach Mack Brown, but next we've got NC State. The Wolfpack is here. We're talking defense with Peyton and Aiden after this. Welcome back to ACC football kickoff. Let's get to know NC State. Taking a look at last year, it was their 3rd straight 8-win season. They played in their 7th bowl game during that stretch and climbed to the AP top 10 for the first time since 2002. They got a new offensive coordinator and a new quarterback this year as well. Robert Anai comes in along with his former quarterback, Brennan Armstrong. And how about that defense? Some familiar names that I know Wolfpack fans are excited to see back, as Peyton Wilson and Aiden White are back and ready to go. And they are not just back, they're here with us right now. We've got Peyton and Aiden on the set with us. Guys, great to see you, and looking forward to talking a little defense with all these offensive guys around you right now. Before we get started, Eddie, we got this wheel. We were giving you guys a warning during the break. They're really hoping it lands on Coach Impression. No, they're not. So we'll see what happens.
You ready?
Yeah. This could be good. We need you to draw your team logo.
Oh, man.
Yeah, look, he needs to think about it.
Look at your jacket, bro. It's on your jacket.
You went to a better school than me.
That's right. Stretch your toughie, bro.
You talking about stretch my toughie.
That's cheating,
so
though.
It seems like Aiden actually is the hardest here because Peyton passed over the marker over to him, okay?
Bro, you cheating, though. It's supposed to be all memory, though.
He can do it. That's cheating. Let him do it.
Remember, bro,
okay, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Bro got a sailor hat.
I didn't know where he was going with it at first, but I'm starting to see it now.
Okay.
He lefty, too?
Yeah.
Let's go.
See why I handed him the pen, right?
It ain't great, but I can tell.
It's a receiver over the Hayden, bro. I mean, apologize. That's not bad.
You say bro got a hat?
Yeah, he's got a sailor hat.
How you not know?
That might be it
right there.
Where's my
Finish on that side, the hat part.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see.
The teeth? Can you go?
There you go. Yep.
And bro
That's supposed to be his teeth.
Oh, that's his teeth?
I think bro need a nose.
Show the camera.
It's not bad, honestly.
He does.
No.
I would give this a round of applause. This is not bad. That's not bad. That's not bad.
Hey,
That
that's
looks like a wolf.
not good. Why you hyping that?
That looks like a wolf. It's on spot. He's on TV doing this, bro. That's not easy to do.
I think it was.
Where's the nose at, bro?
That's good.
Look, give him some lines.
Eddie's asking for a lot over here.
There we go.
That looks better.
That's it.
There it is.
Well, now that looks like his smile, Eddie. You messed them up. That was. I liked it how it was.
I give it a 5.
I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good.
I give it a 7.
On the spot.
Bro been hating on you the whole time.
No, pretty good.
Right, I was hating.
These offensive guys, that's what they do to try to cause some trouble. 2 defensive guys here, though, and I want to talk to both of you. I know this is going to be kind of a different year with everything around you. Some of the pieces y'all have had for a long time are gone, but some of those key pieces like you guys are back. Peyton, for you first, the decision to come back and play another year. Can you take us through that and your expectations for this year, and then where your mind's at as well?
Yeah, I mean, last year going into the season, I think everybody knew like where our expectations were and stuff, and then when we didn't meet those last year, it kind of hit me hard that, I came to NC State set out to have certain goals to accomplish personally and as a team. And I just don't feel like I've reached those yet. And I think with the people that we brought in, with Coach and I coming in, and the people that we brought back, I think the goals that I set out back in 2018 for the team and personally, I'll be able to accomplish them this year.
I would say just with him coming back, that's a huge part of our defense and impacts us in mighty ways. Especially helps me a lot with him being on the boundary side with me more often. We just had that chemistry where we can connect real good. That helps us.
Robert and I was a big hire for y'all. Getting Brennan Armstrong to come over as well. How's it been going against that offense in the spring?
It's tough. Coach Anai, I've been in college a long time, and it's one of the craziest offenses that I've went against, and going against it every day, it just gets more complicated once he figures out our defense. But I mean, it's tough. When we went up to Syracuse last year, it kind of showed of how good of an offensive coordinator he is, and then just practicing against that every day, it just kind of brings out his brilliance, how brilliant he is and what he can scheme up so fast.
Well, Aiden, I think Eddie was hating on your picture because he saw you a tall, long corner. He probably hated you when he was in NFL in college. Yeah, he ready to lock you down right now. Aiden, describe yourself as a DB.
I'll say I'm a long, physical corner. Really can get into the receiver at the top of the route and just
And hold. That's what he's gonna do.
I just feel like I was saying, I just got good IQ with it, so I know it's easy for me to decipher routes when they get into it.
So with this defense being so aggressive, how fast the linebackers are, the blitzing, how does that help you?
I mean, the ball got to come out fast, so you got to expect something quick on that backside, a glance, a slant, maybe a go ball, a hit. So it's not really many options that they have with the pressure always coming.
Peyton, for you, as a linebacker, I played quarterback, so I obviously had the lens from the offensive side when I watched tape. As a defender, when you watch a left tackle or when you watch a running back, do they give away keys when you can tell if it's a run or pass?
Yeah, and something that Coach Gibson is really amazing at is giving us small tendencies and small keys that we can actually focus on. You know how some coaches are very complicated and they give you certain stuff that's kind of complicated. Every game we're going in with the key on either the left tackle, the right guard, whoever it is, whether it's a run or pass. We always have really good keys, and credit to Coach Gibson to that, because I mean, he's really good at what he does. But every game that we go into, I mean, a tackle is usually giving us something that we really like, So.
Speaking of Coach Gibson, I get to sit as a sideline reporter for the last couple of years in a lot of those meetings with your coordinators. Coach Gibson is one of my favorite defensive coordinators to pick his brain. You were talking about Coach Anai, he's really great too. Aiden, what is it like to sit in those meetings with him? Because he's talking about the little things that he gives you, but he just has it seems like a great football mind.
He's so football smart. I can't even fathom how smart he is. The one thing I like about Coach Gibson is, if we mess up and we play hard, he's okay with it. So we out there playing free, so that's good for us.
How about for you in those meetings?
Yeah, being in linebacker meetings with him every day, like Aiden just said, sometimes you can't even fathom how he's coming up with some of the stuff that he does, but it's also just the energy that he brings. Everyone sees Coach Gibson a little short guy, but the energy he brings is it's unreal, it's unmatched, and it's just awesome. As a defensive player, that's someone you want to play for, someone who gives their all every day. So.
Hey, and I want you to give some receivers some love. Who was the toughest guy you had to guard last year?
Last year, probably had to say Zay Flowers from Boston College.
Okay.
He's short, but he's so he'll get up on you fast. He's really explosive in his routes. Can get out, change of direction, crazy. So. Got to give my flowers to bro. He's nice.
So when you're watching a guy and you're trying to break down his tape, what are you looking for?
In a receiver or?
In a receiver.
I'm looking how are they coming out their breaks? What step are they playing off? Is it a 3-step? Is it a 5-step? Are they beating the drum when they come out their break? Are they fixing their gloves before the play, seeing the ball coming to them? Just little stuff like that you got to key on to.
Well, guys, my time in the ACC, I've always respected NC State as a team, but I've also respected your fan base. I feel like it's so hard to play there because it's so loud on third down, and that helps you guys. Mm-hmm. Would you say, just talk about your fan base a little bit?
Yeah, credit to them. Even going back to 2019 when things were real rough for us, a 4-9 season, they were still there every single game, sold out crowds, It's just awesome to play for a stadium no matter. You want to win every game, but no matter how you're doing that season, they're going to be there and they're going to make that Saturday game day the best that you can possibly have.
What is it like playing for Coach Doran? Because it seems like he's always serious. He never well, I'm not going to say never. I always see him in a serious light. Is he ever joking with y'all?
Especially, when we walk into the meeting, he always come in with a funny joke. He's real serious sometimes, but when he gets laid back events like this, he gets to chill and all that. So definitely good.
Can I get the impersonation? Y'all was doing it. It was good.
You got him.
All right.
It was good.
Yeah, Doran and he'll walk into a meeting and he'll ask a rhetorical question, and everybody's looking around. He'd be like, "Hey, am I talking to myself?"
Well, look, I think you guys also have the coolest color combination, or one of the coolest color combinations in all of college football. That red and black, Chicago Bull. If there's some Jordans that come out, I'm sure you all probably can get a chance to get them. Give me your best combination helmet, jersey, and pants that you like to wear.
What you like?
I mean, me personally. Oh, I gotta
That's
think.
tough because you got a couple of them that's like hard. Like
I think I like the away when we wear the black helmet, white shirt, black pants.
And I just like the all black. Our all black is smooth.
It's intimidating.
Easy. Yeah, it's easy to make something look good with it, and all black is as clean as it gets, I think. So.
Aiden, Eddie was asking you who was the hardest to guard last year. I saw a stat from Pro Football Focus that you were, let me make sure I get it right, had the most snaps and coverage last season without giving up a touchdown.
Yes, ma'am.
He wanted to say nobody. It was nobody that had trouble covering.
But you did say first round pick, so that's
true.
What's that mindset like when you're out there on the field?
I mean, as a corner, you got to have a next play up mindset, but you definitely don't want it to get caught on. It's gonna tick you a little bit when somebody catch something on you, even a touchdown. So just going into this season, trying to keep the same stat up. Like nobody scored a touchdown on me.
Well, we cannot wait to see it. You guys get started on August 31st on the road at UConn, and we will see you for our ACC football road trip. Not the first stop, but the second one, Tuesday, August 8th. We will be there. Hopefully you guys can have a nice, cool, shady day. I know we were real hot last year. It's nothing like that in Raleigh at that time of year, I'm sure. Guys, looking forward to seeing you play this season. Can't wait. Welcome back into ACC football kickoff. Let's talk about Dave Doran's crew because he's getting ready for his 11th season in Raleigh. Just 5 wins shy of tying Earl Edwards for the most by an NC State head coach. History tells us there's a good chance he reaches that mark as his Wolfpack teams won at least 7 games in 8 of his first 10 seasons. Coach Doran here on set with us now. Coach, always good to see you. Got to see some of your guys and visit with them a little bit, and that was fun. I know there's been some changes. You got some new faces and guys that have come and gone. What have you seen from this group that you have this offseason that makes you feel confident that they're going to be able to continue the success you guys have built there?
You got a blend of some unfinished business with some guys like Peyton Wilson, and they've played a lot of football for us. Shy Battle, 4-year starter, C.J. Clark, Savion Jackson, Dylan McMahon. So there's some experience. But then we lost some guys that have played a ton of football. So Isaiah Moore's gone, Drake Thomas is gone, Thayer Thomas is gone, Tanner Ingle's gone, and the guys that were waiting behind them are now ready and excited and have a chip on their shoulder, which I like, and so it's a unique team. I'm excited to see what we can do.
Coach, I'm excited to see Robert and I get this offense going.
Yeah.
How did that whole thing play out?
First of all, I'm fired up for Tim Beck to be the head coach at Coastal. It's awesome for him. It's the 4th coach I've worked with now that's a head coach, so it's really neat to see that, as your program. But then when it started, I was just like, I've coached against Robert 4 times. It's never a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
He's very unique. Each time it was a different offense. Like, how many offensive coordinators change that much? What he does is he tweaks things to fit the players, and I think that's a unique thing to have. He makes our offense a tough prep, I think, for other defenses, just like our defense is a tough prep for other offenses. So it's really excited to get him. And then he had a relationship that was unique with Tony Gibson and my defensive coordinator, Ruffin McNeil, and Brian Mitchell. So he had worked with 3 of my coaches that could really talk to me about who he was as a man and as a husband, too.
Coach, I know you're excited to not have to prepare for him defensively, to now be on the good side. You also bring in Brennan Armstrong, a young man that is, when he's on, he's one of the best in the entire country, reuniting with Coach Robert and I. What have you seen from him from a leadership perspective so far?
Well, he's an extension of Coach. He knows his language, and he can sometimes translate his language too, So guys will be like, what's Coach talking about? And Brennan can put it into player speak for him, and so that's helped with the install, I think, having him, because, sometimes those guys go out on their own and Brennan can talk to them. They can talk about experiences they've had. Hey, you remember when we played Pitt, or when we played this guy, we ran this route. And so there's that, back and forth that they have relationship-wise. And our O-line coach was with Brennan as well, Coach 2J. So he's got some unique familiarity with the coaching staff that he may not have as a transfer normally.
Changing to defense, Coach, I'm curious on tackling and how you teach it. I know a lot of people have quit tackling guys to the ground. I mean, when you scrimmage, do you still put them on the ground, or how do you guys teach it?
Well, we do teach taking them to the ground in our scrimmages. We'll have 2 or 3 live, scrimmages in fall camp. One of them will just be kind of a 10 to 15 minute short yardage goal line. The other 2 will be full blown. The rest of the time we're like you were, Thud, where you're trying to tag off on the hip and allow the offensive players to advance and keep the guys up and safe. You find out in the first game if you did a good job or not. Like last year, we did not tackle well in our opener, and from that we learned a lot, I think, as players on how much we need to pursue the ball differently in practice. I think that's the biggest thing. Your guys have to sprint at the right angle, and your offensive guys got to finish so that you have that real life moment of truth that happens on game day.
Coach, watching the draft a few months ago, a lot of the corners now are tall and long guys. Aiden White's here, who fits that same build. What's your expectation for him this year?
We're excited for Aiden and for Shy Battle. We feel like we have 2 of the better corners in the country, and they're both long guys. They're both guys that have played a ton of football. They can play press, they can play off, they understand our defense. Aiden didn't give up a touchdown in league play last year, so we'd love to see that continue. And, we want to do what we've done is get a lot of interceptions. Our back end's done a great job of that.
Coach, this defense, as you said, interceptions, number 1 in the conference last year. You mentioned all those guys that you're losing, but you have the unique benefit where some of those guys were hurt and you've had to play other people. And you and I have spoken about this before, but who are some of those young guys that yourself, but also them, can't wait to get in the game and they're ready this year?
Yeah, well, I think, Jakeem Harris and Devin Boykin at safety have played a ton for us and now are the mainstays back there. But at linebacker, I think is where you'll see the biggest, probably, guys that haven't played getting their time. Devon Betty at middle linebacker, Jalen Scott at outside linebacker have both played for us, but haven't been starters, unless there was an injury. Our D-line returns a lot of depth, and so I think that's where you're going to see a very, very good unit.
Coach, you had a quarterback in MJ Morris, who we all deemed as a star. So we thought he was going to be the starter this year, but Brennan comes in. What was the conversation like with him?
Yeah, we're really excited about MJ's future, and just felt like with Devin leaving and also losing, Finley, that room was short. We needed to bring someone else in to compete. When it ended up being Brennan, getting a guy that's played that much football, it doesn't decimate or diminish anything that MJ's done. We're so excited about him and the way he leads and what's in front of him. But he's 19, he's played in 5 games. Brennan's 24 and has played in 30. So there's obviously, a distinguished difference there between that.
Did he take it well? Because with the transfer portal and all of that.
Like anybody, he wants to play. He understood where I was coming from. He's super confident. We're going to need them both. We all know that. It'd be great if we could redshirt him. I wanted to redshirt him last year and just couldn't because of the bombs that went off having to play 4 quarterbacks last year, But I think if we could redshirt him and set him up to be the guy for 3 years, that would be phenomenal. If we can't, he understands his role, and I know he'll push Brennan every day in practice.
Staying on Brennan, I don't remember the exact timing, but exactly how did you get him? I mean, was it coach first and then he came, or exactly? I mean, I'm not exactly sure how the portal works as far as the nuts and bolts. I mean, the nuts and bolts of exactly, he hits the portal. Were you there at that moment, or? I mean, I was just curious how it went down.
We hired Coach and I when he came in. We were in bowl practice, so I said to Coach, "Hey, I want you to evaluate our offensive roster, and then tell me where you think we can go out and help the roster in recruiting, whether it's high school, whether it's in the portal." And he came in and did that. And he came to me with a couple positions he wanted us to target. Quarterback was one of them. And then we went to the guys in the recruiting office and said, "I need a list of every quarterback, every this, every that." We already knew where some of them were. And then I saw Brennan's name on the list. I'm like, "So we're going to talk about this or not?" Right. He's like, "Yeah, but we got to recruit him." He went to Oklahoma State. He went to Wisconsin on visits. It wasn't like a phone call, "He's coming."
Right.
We had to recruit him hard, and
work.
It wasn't as easy as I think people assumed that it was just a phone call. It was. Brennan wanted to get to know our program, our players, our defense.
Right.
He wanted to be on a team.
Got a chance.
And I think having 2 coaches he was with was a part of the process, but he wanted to get to know way more than that.
That's good.
Coach, to have guys like him who have played so much football and know what this last year means, and a guy like Peyton, who I'm sure you were so excited once you heard he was officially coming back, especially with some of the changes around there, to have like foundational pieces with guys like them that know that this is their last year, that's got to be monumental when you're trying to continue to build what you've done the last 10 years.
Yeah, I think it helps. You know, I mean, having to completely start over when you lose all these guys is really hard, and I've unfortunately had to do that. You know, one year we had a bunch of guys leave and then a bunch of guys injured, and you want to have your culture passed down through the years, and you want your players to be partially responsible for teaching it, you know, and helping the guys learn how to do it and what the standards are, and teaching them why, you know, and telling their life story to these younger players. And so we've had that ability with some of the guys staying for 6 years. It's really helped. We had a super old team last year, but this year we still have some of that, you know, and I'm going to miss Grant Gibson and Isaiah Moore, and it's nice to still see them come through the building every now and then. But I'm so excited for Peyton, you know, for him to be able to have that opportunity now as a leader in our locker room.
Coach, one of the big changes this season is we don't have the Atlantic or the Coastal anymore.
Yeah.
Are you in support of that change?
I'm fired up about it. I've been hoping for this since I got in the league.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, I mean, like when I walked in the league, Florida State was on top. Louisville was rolling, and Clemson was climbing to become that team. And so we had all three of them standing there. And then, you know, myself, Syracuse, and Wake have built our programs up. And I've had 2 years where we've had the second best record in the league in the league play, and haven't had a chance to play for it. And I believe the best two teams earn the opportunity to play it off on the field. That's how it should be. Let them fight, even if it's a rematch. Let them go fight for it. That's my thoughts on it. And I don't know how it plays out in the playoff picture, but 12 games ought to be worth that amount of work for one game, in my opinion.
No, we're jacked up for it. I think it's a great opportunity for everybody involved, Coach. I want to go back to Coach Robert and I, and just the uniqueness. You talk about, man, you're happy you don't have to go against it. What makes it so difficult? What makes it so unique?
You know, I think he's super creative, for one. He's not one of these guys that's, oh, I can't do that, or I won't do this, or like, I brought him in to watch the Super Bowl with me. We watched the Chiefs offense because him and Andy Reid have a history together. And he's talking me through it, you know, like the stuff. And I'm like, man, I would love to put some of this in. He's like, sure, let's go. I mean, you know, some of the other guys I worked with would be, oh, I can't do that. Or, you know, and he said, yeah, let's try it, you know. And I'm like, well, how are you going to do it? He's like, well, let's do it. You know, and he figures out how to teach it to the guys. And that's his thing, is he wants the information to go from him to the players with ease. And he takes pride in the fact that young guys can play early. How he signals things and names things is very player friendly for the players, and that's going to help us, you know, because if somebody goes down and you got to insert someone else that they can step in and have that same impact. The other thing that makes him unique is that his system changes with the talent. If he's got a freak show tight end, that guy's going to be featured. If he doesn't, then it might be two running backs. If he doesn't have that, they may be an empty, you know, like he can do a lot with his packages.
Well, Coach, we can't wait to see what you guys are able to do, what him and Brennan Armstrong are like back together. We'll talk to Brennan in just, I think, a few minutes. Look like 1:50 he'll join us here on this set, and we'll see you for our second stop of our ACC Summer Tour on August 8th.
Look forward to having you all.
We look forward to more food recommendations from you, because last time you were spot on with that one, Coach.
I'll take care of you.
Welcome back to ACC Kickoff. Last year's football road trip was so much fun, we're doing it all again this year. The trip starts August 7th with Florida State and goes through the 24th. Join us as our team of analysts take you inside each of the ACC's 14 football programs with exclusive interviews, team breakdowns, and unprecedented access to fall camps. The second stop on that tour is NC State. We had a chance to catch up with Dave Dorn and Brennan Armstrong today, and we talked to Brennan Armstrong at this event last year at Virginia. Things didn't quite work out. New staff, new offensive coordinator, and he just realized it just wasn't working out for me. Lo and behold, he ends up at NC State, and who is his offensive coordinator?
Why, it's a man named Robert Anae, who was his coordinator at Virginia when he put up absolutely prolific numbers 2 years ago. Him, both Brennan and Dave Dorn, were very prompt and quick and adamant in saying this wasn't a pre-organized thing. It just kind of coalesced this way. And look, one of the things that Brennan said to us was, I didn't expect to have this year. It is definitively my last year. I can't screw it up. And so it was about putting himself in the best position to succeed, and he's very excited about it. But one of the things I thought was interesting, Dave Doran, we asked him about why he hired Robert and I, what attracted him. He said, I've coached against him at 5 different schools and seen him coach 5 different offenses. There's different tweaks to it. So I don't think we're going to just see 2021 Virginia out on the field for NC State this year, despite the quarterback and the OC being the same. Robert and I, one of the things that both those guys said is he's a guy who looks at what I have to work with and will construct his offense around maximizing his players' skills. So I don't know that we're going to be looking at this blueprint that we already have seen. I think there's going to be a few tweaks. I know the run game is one thing they'd like to get going. I think that they've got to identify some real speed on the outside at receiver, but there's a lot to like. What I think Dave Doran likes, too, is that not everybody's talking about all that there is to like about NC State this year. The expectations are a lot different than this time last year.
And he likes that.
Yeah.
He really likes that. I mean, this is a program that likes to play with a chip on their shoulder. This is a program that likes to be under the radar. Last year, we're talking about this team as a preseason top 10. And he said he had to address with his players a lot about complacency and not looking at that, not thinking about the expectations. But that hype wasn't really the reason why they struggled. 4 quarterbacks.
4 quarterbacks will do that to you.
Yeah, 4 quarterbacks a little bit difficult. So now you go into this year, Brennan Armstrong, a proven commodity. We know they're going to be great on defense. And honestly, what I'm most excited to see about Brennan Armstrong, his ability to run. I mean, he was handcuffed last year at Virginia in that off. They didn't want him to run.
He is an improviser by nature. I think that is what gets his game going. And the running game was just taken out. He was trying to play within a framework last year that I just don't think fits his skill set. Robert and I obviously knows that skill set.
No question about that. And the schedule, oh, by the way, sets up pretty nicely for NC State.
No
without
Atlantic
playing
Division,
in the Atlantic.
no problem.
Oh, imagine that. All right, Kelsey and company, what do you guys make of that non-conference schedule and the road to the ACC championship game for NC State?
Well, I know our guys think it is going to be a great start at UConn and then a big opportunity for them on September 9th. 12 o'clock game. That one is on ABC. You know you love to get that big-time audience, but they will have week 2. And then got a couple of ESPN games already on there as well, at Virginia, as well as that Louisville game on September 29th. So plenty of good to talk about with this NC State team, including with their quarterback, Brennan Armstrong. He is standing by, walking over right now. We'll get to talk to Brennan Armstrong, get his thoughts on what lies ahead for the Wolfpack this season. Welcome back into ACC football kickoff, coming to you live from the Westin in Uptown Charlotte. We are getting into the latter portion of our day, but still a jam-packed guest list coming your way, including the guest that we have on set right now, a fan favorite and a favorite, I think, of everybody sitting on this set, quarterback Brennan Armstrong with NC State. That sounds a little different rolling off my tongue, I'm not going to lie. I had to check myself and make sure I was saying it the right way. But Brennan, we're so happy for you. You've gotten to cover your career up close over the last couple of years, and now to see what you're able to do with your old coordinator. What was that first practice back like with Coach and I
mean, shoot, I would say just going into the new office and seeing him there, like, that was a weird feeling. I kept, people asked me, I was like, how did you feel? I was like, I don't even know. It was just weird. Yeah. Just a weird feeling. I'm in a new place with a similar face, but it was a weird feeling. But no, like, we picked up right where we left off. Spring practice was great. We're just trying to, figure out who's going to be in what positions and just trying to solidify some spots here. But no, it's good to reunite, but it's good to be at NC State Wolfpack now. So yeah.
Let's back up just a little bit. Talking to Coach Doran, everybody thought, hey, Coach Anai's in, so Brennan's in. But he said it wasn't like a slam dunk as far as coming out of the portal. What process did you go through to finally end up at NC State?
Well, I would say, Coach and I being there sparked my interest in NC State right away. Got a chance to go visit them, talk to Coach Doran. Playing in the ACC, I knew how close NC State was to being at the top. They're just a few games away, one game away from getting to that, championship game. So when I talked to Coach Doran, I felt like the culture was kind of built. Him being there for 11, 12 years now.
Yes.
The culture's been built. I was just a piece that they needed for the offense. I feel like Coach Gibson built the defense's foundation to be very solid. Guys know what to expect on defense there, right. And they just needed something on offense, With the Coach and I coming in, I thought my familiarity with the offense was a great fit for me. yeah, so I just felt like it was the right fit for me.
BA, transferring like you did, which I think was a great decision. How has the community there in Raleigh receptive to you?
I mean, I feel like it's been good. I mean, it's a big city. It ain't like Charlottesville. Charlottesville's more college town, but yeah, Raleigh seems to be. It's a great place, I think. I could see myself living there, but feels like they've been receptive of me, and I think I still got to earn my stripes there. I don't think the pass really does it for them. I think I got to throw the Wolfpack uniform on and show them what I can do. And that's fair enough. I know that's my job, and to go out there and win games. I think then I'll win them over. I think I'll win them all over after that.
You were throwing up the Wolfpack sign pretty naturally, though. Yeah, he's got it down already, Mac.
It feels good, right? It's something that is, it's interesting, this whole new world, man. And you just said the uniqueness of, meeting back up with your old coordinator and the success that you guys had perfecting that offense, whatever you call it, how unique it was. We've heard from your coach, your head coach, and Dave Doran, but I want to hear from you, man. What makes that offense so hard to stop and so fun to play in?
So as a quarterback perspective, I think just the freedom that I have, and I think Coach and I knows what he's getting out of me, and I kind of know what I'm getting out of him, so that's great connection between us two. I would say his ability to just put guys in position to be successful, and I think even though it's a first year, the way he teaches the offense, we're able to get guys in spots, them understand what they're supposed to do, very quick. I don't think we overcomplicate things with so much information. I think we keep things very simple, and guys just get to their spot and start going. And that allows people to play fast, allows an offense first year in to play well and to have success. And so I think that's what he does well, is just guys in spots to be successful. The less information, the better, in a sense, so you're able to play fast. And so he does that both really well, I think.
Who's going to be Keaton Thompson?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to. No, I don't know who that's going to be. I don't know. We'll figure that out.
Well, who are some of the skill guys that you work with?
I'm working with everyone. I think the fall camp's going to really decide, because we were super generic in spring. We didn't do much. We try to keep guys in spots that they were familiar with. I think in fall camp we're going to start cranking it up a little bit with a lot of motions, a lot of spots, putting guys in different spots just to figure out everything. And so I'm really looking for fall camp, looking forward to it, just because we get to see who gets to step up, honestly, and because we're getting closer to game time. Right.
When you talk to your coaches and your teammates that you've played with, everybody talks about the kind of leader you are. And I know at Virginia you had the opportunity to really grow into that. I'm sure you're already doing that at NC State, but you're also the new guy. What's that balance like, trying to figure it out?
It's a different balance, being the older guy on the team, but newer to the team. I felt like I just took it in a sense of a freshman approach. When I first came in, I just worked super hard, was consistent, and stayed disciplined the entire time. And I would say things here and there just to talk and chat, let guys get to know who I am. And then I feel like knowing the offense was a good connector with the guys, just being able to talk with the offense about the guy, or with the receivers. And then spring ball started to jump into that vocal role, and I think fall camp I'm going to start cranking it up a little bit more. I don't know if they really understand the fiery guy that has inside of me yet. I really haven't showed it, so I don't want to shock guys on game one if I get fired up. So I think I'm going to start showing it a little bit more in fall camp, and just kind of creating that urgency and confidence on the offensive side.
Yeah, you guys have a solid defense coming back as well. Yeah. Aiden White's here, Peyton Wilson's here. I mean, when you look at that side of the ball, who has kind of been a pest for you throughout the spring?
I mean, the whole defense, I'm going to be honest with you, just the scheme they play, it makes it tough to throw the ball in. And then just the three guys up front that they have are really skilled, so they can get pressure on the quarterback just rushing three. And then we got linebackers that are flying around. It's tough, and it makes us work in practice, let me tell you. It's a tough practice every day. You got to come out, be ready to go. I couldn't pinpoint who. It's just the entire thing. And just the confidence they play it with. When they're out there, they're confident. And that's what you need as a defense too. So.
Well, it's tough because coach gives them the script. I mean, it's unbelievable. They're cheating.
True.
Yeah, I hate it.
Honestly, I do feel like some of the times they just schemed us off.
They know.
What's coming on 38.
That's
right.
real. There's no way that's
Y'all
real.
used to do that, coach.
That's right. Speaking of coach, you probably had an opinion of him from afar, not playing for him. Now you're playing for him. Is he different than what you thought?
I would say just like I said, he kind of fits my style. He's super blue collar, just kind of hard working guy, and he expects that out of his players. And he demands a lot of us to be the best of the best. And I just think, I don't know, he's pretty chill, honestly. He doesn't get too fired up. Like, he just kind of stays pretty chill about things, and it's kind of cool. I'm pretty used to that with,
I'm sure you'll see him snap it. So.
Yeah, I'll probably see him snap on the sideline eventually, but that's part of it. That's right, that's part of the game. So.
That's right.
Well, BA 2021, you were one of the top quarterbacks in this conference.
Yeah.
How big of a chip on your shoulder do you have in this 2023 season to get back to that?
Huge chip, I know. I mean, that's what I want to get back to. I think if I'm playing well, this team's going to be winning games, and that's bottom line. Individual stuff doesn't matter. If I do my job, we're going to win games, and then all the rest of the stuff will take care of itself. So that's just kind of what I'm looking forward to, is winning games here.
Oh, I thought you were looking at me because you wanted one more, so I was going to give it to you. I have one more because I'm just looking at your schedule, and you guys start on the road. I was trying to be a good teammate because I thought that meant you wanted it. You start on the road, but then you played in all of these ACC stadiums before. You know what it's like to play at Carter Finley when it's rocking. You're going to get that week 2 big game. Have you thought about what it's going to feel like to walk out there as a starting quarterback for your final year?
I haven't. It's going to be weird. It's such a weird feeling. Being my first time running out that tunnel with the crowd there. Yeah, I'm just gonna just take it all in, and then I know I got to focus back up, let that emotion kind of settle out, and then focus up for the game. I've dealt with that roller coaster of getting super excited to run out to the tunnel and then simmering it back down for the game. So I think I'm pretty experienced with handling those emotions, but it's going to be weird this time just because of the scenery and then the team I'm for now. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm super fired up about it.
I got a quick question. I know last year was tough.
Yeah.
I remember watching games that you were playing in, and I could just see the pain in your face because of the struggles that you were having as a team. And I know it was probably the hardest time in your athletic career. Mm-hmm. Do you think you grew from that? Do you think that helped you in any way in the long run?
100%. There's highs and lows of life. I mean, that's how it was one season to the next, highs and lows. So, yeah, like I said, it kind of puts a chip on my shoulder. It was frustrating. I'm not going to lie about it. It was very frustrating because you want to be successful, and you're the quarterback of the team. You want to be successful. You want to be productive. And so a lot of it falls on your shoulders. You feel the weight of it on your shoulders. It's done. It's over with. I learned from it. I think I'm pretty grateful just from the entirety of, maybe not the performance, but the entirety of the season of what happened. I've been very grateful for just the opportunity to play again. You don't get many chances, and it can be taken away from you instantly. So, yeah, I'm just looking into this season, super grateful, excited for the opportunity, and like you said, a chip on my shoulder to prove something.
I know that Charlottesville community is always going to be behind you. Now you're going to have the Raleigh community behind you as well. We can't wait to see what you guys are able to do. It starts on August 31st against UConn. We'll be there, our second stop of our ACC football road trip, though, on August 8th. Speaking of coaches that have it all together, I don't know if Dave Doeren has any card tricks, but he always has something up his sleeve. He joins Pack and Taylor on the other side of this break.
We got some Wolfpack action here on our set in the press conference room with Dave Doeren joining us now. He just hopped off the stage, back in the hot seat. There's no breaks over here. We just saw actually out there, Dabo Sweeney was doing a card trick on live TV with the other set. Do you have any card tricks? Are you a magician? Do you have any up your sleeve?
Not a magician, no.
No, it's not your thing.
I might be able to do a card trick, but I don't know if I'd want to do it here.
All right, we'll see. If anyone's watching out there, if you can bring the cards in here, maybe we'll test him.
It depends how much bourbon is in the room. It depends on the difficulty of the card trick. That's how that works.
Now you see it, now you don't.
That's it. That's how that works. Coach, let's go football first. It's interesting, the difference of a year, right? Tons of expectations last year. This year, I get a sense you guys are flying underneath the radar a little bit, but there's a lot of interesting pieces back. Do you feel more comfortable where people aren't buzzing about you? You can just say, hey, listen, let's get to work and go get after people.
I don't know if I prefer one over the other. I do think we're a chip on the shoulder type program. We do feed off of people not thinking we're maybe we think we're going to end up. But I did enjoy the challenge of the opposite as well. And as we know, these predictions don't mean a lot other than conversation for right now. Right. You got to get on the field and play. And in our case, we had to endure some tough injuries that kind of changed the course of what we might have been offensively. So it was a very successful season when you look at what we overcame. But I enjoy this team. It's unique.
I want to follow up with that, too. The one thing I've known and appreciate about your teams, and you tried to start this from day one when you got to Raleigh, was we're going to be tough at the point of attack.
Yeah.
And I think looking backwards, if you probably did a critique, and we'll get into this, being able to run the football, that tough 3rd and 2. I get a sense, I can't wait to see what you guys do this year as far as, hey, guess what? We're going to be tougher up front and get after people.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I believe in building a football team from the inside out. You know, your center, your nose guard, your middle linebacker, your quarterback, and I want to run the ball when I want to run the ball. You know, it's one of those things. If we have to throw for 400 yards to win, that's fine. But yeah, when there's these tough 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s, yeah. So that's been something we've talked a lot about. Coach and I and Coach 2J both understand where my philosophy is on that, what we would like to do and do better.
What is something that you've learned about Robert Anae now that you've been with him? Obviously, you know of him, you played against him through the coaching world, everyone knows each other, but something you've learned that you didn't know about him before?
Well, I found this out at an event I was at, that I guess he's a world-class ukulele player.
Okay.
And plays the guitar as well. I haven't seen him do it yet, but I've had several people come up and ask me if I've had that happen yet. So I'm looking forward to seeing him do that, but I haven't yet.
And wait a minute, 3rd and 2, if you look down there and he's over there strumming a tiny Tim, you're going to say, hey,
there might be some signaling going on that looks like that, though, yeah. Robert's been great for our staff and really fits in well. And some people know this, some don't, but his son is the line coach at Campbell's and they're actually living there. So he's got his 4 grandchildren there and his son. It's been great for their family.
We've also talked about your quarterback room and competition, which again goes back to what we just talked about, point of attack, physicality. Yeah. And when you can get to a situation where you say, guess what? You know what? This is all going to take care of itself. That's why each and every practice makes sense. I know that's one of the things that you're really excited about this team.
Yeah, I mean, the season ended and we lost 2 quarterbacks to the portal. All of a sudden we were very young. And I'm very excited about what Brennan brings from an experience standpoint to that position group and the knowledge of our offense. But also the way that MJ's picked it up and the way he's competing and the future that he has in our program. So those 2 guys bring a really good 1-2 in there, and I think to have an older guy and a younger guy working together sets up, really nicely for MJ for the future.
And even styles, right? I mean, you can really cause some issues where, hey, you put the other defensive coordinator on notice that, hey, we can beat you running, we can beat you throwing it.
Well, yeah, and as you know, Brennan can throw it pretty good too. Yep. So, I mean, last year we dealt with something I haven't in my tenure at NC State. I mean, I've had healthy quarterbacks until, Devin's 2 injuries. And Brissett never had a problem. Finley never had a problem, So last year I hope was all of them rolled into one. And hopefully we don't have to deal with that with our guys this year in that room.
You paid your QB injury tax. I think you're good to go. You brought a couple of defensive guys here with you today as well, and Peyton Wilson and Aiden White. And I know the number is 49% of your defensive production returning, but I know you have plenty of dudes waiting in the wings. But for those 2 guys, how much have you relied on them to really take the reins? Obviously, you want your players to be part coach on the field too.
There's good experience coming back. We lost some very good starters on defense, but we did rotate several players. And there were guys that missed for injuries that are, even though they're not listed as starters to us, they are. Devin Boykin is one of those guys. I think our defensive line is going to be really good. I'm super excited about that. And then the opportunity for some guys like Devin Betty, a middle linebacker who played behind Isaiah Moore for so many years, to step up now and be a guy, to see what Jalen Scott's going to do as a starter. I think there's some names maybe that our fans know that maybe the country doesn't, that could really shine.
We get into this time of the season, it's talking season, we start looking at schedules and everybody's got a crystal ball. And like you said, nobody knows squat in July, much less early August until camps open up. But here's what I absolutely do know. I know that your fan base is hungry and incredibly supportive. I know you've sold out every ticket. Yeah. I've seen the scoreboard upgrades and everything you've done with Carter Finley. And I'll say it again, I think you got the best home schedule in the ACC. I mean, this is a great year. If you got a season ticket or a ticket to an NC State home game, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, we've got Notre Dame, Louisville, Miami, Carolina, Marshall. Clemson, a bunch of teams coming into town. We sold every ticket, as you said. Last year they put in the lights that go on and off, the red lights, and now you got the stadium and the sound system. Yeah. It's going to be incredible there, and our student section's awesome. But these fans are fired up. It's the most tickets we've ever sold at this point in the year in school history.
What are your emotions, your feelings like at this time of the year? Because you get done with this today, sort of maybe you get a little bit of a week to reset before you get out on the field. What are your personal emotions and feelings at this time of year?
It's kind of like I want to get on the grass. I want to see what we have. I mean, our strength coach has done a great job with these young men this summer and his staff. You coach them through the spring, you bring them in and tell them, here's where you need to get better, and then you hand them off to the strength staff, and you get them back. And it's like, did it happen? You want to see what you got. And we got some new players, too, that we haven't coached yet, so we get to see them. But, it's just kind of a hurry up, the calm before the storm, I guess you'd say. But I'm anxious to get on the grass and coach football. I mean, all I've been doing is raising money for 2 months, and I'm ready to go coach.
I want to follow up with that because you and I were talking before you came on, and I was watching, living vicariously through video and pictures and everything else. The fundraiser you have with Philip Rivers and the name, image, and likeness, it's a whole new universe that we're in right now. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because Philip Rivers, legendary quarterback, and congratulations to Team Phillips. They're expecting their 10th child. Sure, there's got to be an NC State player in that group out of the 10.
Now look at this with the cowboy
look at this
hat
look
on.
right here. Now listen, I know Kevin Costner is out at Yellowstone. Right there is the fill-in. I mean, you got this thing down to a science.
Yeah, I'll step in if he wants to step out. I guarantee you. But no, it was a great night. It was Scotty McCreery was our singer, and Chandler James, another North Carolina singer that was there for us. They're great fans, and Scotty obviously went to NC State. But then we brought back a bunch of alumni and current NFL players, and Philip was the headliner from that group, and had 300 fans, donors in there, and had an auction, had some concert, great food. Our two collectives did a tremendous job, raised a bunch of money. It was awesome, but it took a lot of time getting that thing together. And so different times, man. Like, you used to have an off season as a coach. There isn't one anymore. You just shift what you were doing into something else.
But it's also an indicator, like I said, of how hungry NC State Wolfpack fans are. The number one, let's get this thing cranked up. And you've done a solid, consistent job. And now it's like, hey, let's get this thing to the next level, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we all want to win a championship at NC State, and I think everyone's working together to try to make that a reality.
Speaking of Philip Rivers, he's a couple of kids that you could probably start recruiting about this time, right?
I can't talk about that because they're recruits now, but he does have a son that's starting for him as a freshman quarterback this year. So we're excited to see Philip as the head coach and his son play for him, and Wolfpack Nation is so proud of him.
Yeah.
The whole division thing, I know we knew what we were going to do with schedules and all the stuff. We went through NC State's schedule. You like the fact that we got no divisions?
I love it. For me, we finished second in league wins twice in my tenure and not been able to go to the championship. I just think getting it done on the field between the teams that have earned that right is the right way to do it. And excited for the league. I think it's going to generate a lot of fanfare at the end of the season to have that matchup, even if it is a rematch.
Well, listen, we look forward to seeing you in Raleigh again. Great home schedule. Always fun with NC State. The tailgate's great. Fans are awesome. And we always appreciate your time.
Oh, thanks for having me. Go Pack.
You got it. There's Dave Dorn.
Folks, we have come to the end of our journey. We have one final school remaining. That is the Wolfpack of NC State. We will welcome to the podium head coach Dave Doran along with his 3 student athletes. Folks, we'll spend about 15 minutes with Coach Doran as we wrap things up here in the grand ballroom of the Westin in Uptown Charlotte. We'll have 15 minutes with Coach, then 5 minutes with each of our student athletes. As we have done previously, we will get to as many questions as we can. We will continue to ask for your courtesy to identify yourselves and the agency that you are with. We will knock out as many questions as we can. And, Coach, I believe we'll start in the first row to your left, and we will hustle a microphone down his way.
Coach, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Doing well. Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Looking at college football today and the fact that coaches change every few seasons, you've had over a decade at NC State. Just what you could say about that tenure, your belief in the program's continuing to buy into you, and just what that relationship has been like in a world that we don't see that consistency a lot.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a blessing to be at a school this long. Really, in my life, I've never lived anywhere for this long, even as a child, moving around. So to be able to say as a coach that all 3 of my sons didn't have to move through their childhood years and their schooling, I think that's a huge win in the parenting box. From a stability standpoint, NC State has definitely supported me and Sarah and the kids I love the leadership. Chancellor Woodson has been huge in this for me, and now Boo Corrigan. I came to NC State for the same reason that I'm still there. I think it's a great fit. You know, it's a bunch of blue-collar, tough, hard-working people that enjoy good food, good music. The state of North Carolina, fishing, mountains, beach, lakes. I mean, you can't beat it. It's really just a tremendous place to live. And so, you know, thankful to be here, and honestly hope that they let me finish here. You know, that's my goal is to retire here one day, the winningest coach in school history, and you know, be able to kind of go to the parking lot and tailgate myself, you know, and have some fun. Maybe not have as much stress, you know, get a little bit more vacation every now and then. But it's a fun group too, and the guys that I've been able to coach and the coaches I've been able to work with, you know, make it the ride that's what it's about. You know, it's that journey you have.
Coach, follow the aisle right up the middle and then to the right on the edge.
Hey, Dave. Mike Barber from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Good to see you. You mentioned that fit and culture. I'm curious, Robert and I, how has he fit in? How has that relationship gone? And how has his work on the field progressed?
Yeah, it's great having Coach and I. You know, I have several staff members that worked with Robert at other stops before I hired him that could really give me some good insight into what this relationship would be like for me with Ruffin McNeil and him going back to Texas Tech and UNLV. Tony Gibson, my D coordinator, and he were together at Arizona. Brian Mitchell and he were together at BYU. So I had some insight, you know, into what kind of person. I coached against Coach and I 4 different times and knew the kind of play caller that he was and what his guys were like to play against. And so it's been a great match. Yeah, he's very unique. For those of you that have interviewed him, you know where I'm coming from with that. He's definitely a different personality in a good way. He is a fun personality, but he is a tough ball coach. You know, he expects guys to do things a certain way. He's demanding. And his creativity, you know, I'm not saying it's unmatched, but it's in the top 10% in college football. He does a lot with the different things he can do in the offense for the players.
Coach, left side's going to be about the 7th row. Gentlemen, please raise your hand so he can see you. Thank you.
Noah T, technician. What does your defensive coordinator, Tony Gibson, do to make him a consistently quality defensive coordinator for y'all?
You know, his system is unique. Not a lot of people run the 3-3-5. He understands the ins and outs of it really, really well. He knows how people are going to attack him. He knows, you know, what the answers are before they happen. So if they do this, I'm going to do this. He has that for everything. He has a good progression, not just of teaching, but of when to add things in and when it's time to change things up. He's a great chemistry guy, not just with players, but with staff. I like that he's tough on the guys. He demands a lot, but he's also a guy that loves on his players. Yeah, he's really, really been a great hire for us, you know, and he's done a tremendous job, and so have the coaches that are with him. You know, and I know Peyton and Aiden will speak to this. That chemistry of that side of the ball is, and not that it's not on the other, but Tony deserves a lot of credit for that. You know, when he was promoted 4 years ago, I guess it was, to defensive coordinator, he changed a lot of things, and those things have paid off for us.
Coach, to your right on the 4th row, we've got 2 gentlemen side by side. They'll ask your next 2 questions.
Kenton Gibbs with Locked On ACC. Coach, they say that the team takes on the attitude and temperament of the head coach, and we've seen that over the years with you and this team being very tough, hard-nosed, all that good stuff. And it seems like this team is on the cusp, year after year after year, right there. Yeah. What needs to change with this team or with you or in general to kind of break through that ceiling and get your first ACC championship?
I'd love to see it, and it's great to see you, Kent, as a former player of mine. You know, we finished second in the league a couple times record-wise. Second in the league for league wins 3 years now combined, and I think it's third over the 10 years that I've been here for league wins. So we've had a lot of success. How do you get over the top? You know, it's a great question. I say this to the team, it's one more play sometimes, or one more player sometimes, or one more play call. You know, it's a very little thing that takes place. Sometimes you got to have some luck too. You know, staying healthy is a big thing in college football. If you look at the teams that make it to the end, that's a factor. And so there's a lot of pieces in it, and I've been fortunate to win championships at several of the schools I've been at. Those things come together, at the right time, and you just make some clutch key plays. Sometimes it's just a routine play at the right time. And once you do it one time, it's amazing. The repetition of it's not as hard as the first time doing it, in my opinion, because of the belief that goes with it.
Keep your focus right there, Coach, the gentleman right next to him.
Grayson Boone, Locked On Wolfpack. Coach, you bring in an experienced OC in Robert and I. You bring in an experienced O-line coach, Coach 2J, and you bring in an experienced quarterback to pilot this thing in Brennan. Can you speak on where you feel the ceiling is for this new look offense in 2023? Well,
I think the ceiling's being the best in the league. That's our goal. We can't control the stats and all the things outside of the ACC. We got to try to win the ACC. And our goal is always going to be the best statistically in the areas that we consider important. And so I know Coach Anai has his pillars on offense that he preaches to these guys that they're going to be working hard to attain. And it's no different on defense. We want to finish in the top 1, 2, or 3 in every category that we care about. And there's certain tenets of the program, when it comes to taking care of the football on offense and taking the ball back on defense that is paramount for us. The penalties, it's an area that hurt us a few years ago, not beating ourselves with things we can control. So there's a lot of things you look at. But I don't think, at this phase of the season, you can ever say this is what we're going to be. Like, you have to go earn it. You got to get on the grass and go play and get in these games and see who's better.
Coach, to your left, second row, almost towards the wall.
Corey Smith with 24/7 Sports,
Hey, Corey.
Pack Pride. Dave, obviously last year the dynamic was completely different. Do you feel like your teams perform better when there's not as heightened of expectations, when you are seen as the underdog going into the season?
I've been asked that a lot. I think we performed really well last year considering 4 quarterbacks had to play. There's never been a team in the history of college football win 8 games with 4 quarterbacks. So, when you sat in this meeting a year ago, we would all said 8 wins was not what we were hoping for. But I know I was quoted last year saying this. You guys are asking me to predict 12 games with the lineup that I have for game 1. And that's not reality. The team changes a lot when you lose a quarterback, another quarterback, another quarterback. And so the fact that our complementary football played into it, the defense was number 1 in the league in scoring defense, the special teams were number 1 in the league. Our offense did not turn the football over and kept us in games. And so that's how we won. And I look at last year as a huge success with the difficulties we faced. Would have loved to have not had those challenges and been in the championship game and all that, but that's not the reality of sports. You have to compete with what you have to compete with. And felt like this staff did that. And we're going to do it again. And hopefully, we will have obstacles. We will have adversity. We'll have things happen we didn't want. I just hope that they're not in the injury category when we're facing them.
Coach, we're going to go to right side, 6th row, almost to the right, far right.
Hi, Coach. Damian Sordelette with the Roanoke Times. There's plenty of game film on what Brennan Armstrong can do in Robert Anane's offense, but what has he done in terms of ingraining himself within the locker room, within the offense that you've seen through the spring and the summer, and how good of a teammate he is?
Yeah, I think it's probably a question to ask these players when they come up here. From my standpoint, I like how he just came in, put his head down, and went to work. And it proved himself in his competitive spirit. Going back to the winter runs, he put him in a competition, and he's winning every rep. And you see how he cheers on his teammates when they win things. And his excitement level for that, how hard he competed in spring ball, and you'd see him coaching guys, and just the way he goes about his business. Is where the respect for me is. But as far as how he's with them, I think that's probably better for them to answer.
Coach, we're going to sneak in one more. Young lady to the right. We're going to get to her question, please. About halfway back.
Hi, Coach. Ashlyn Dotson from Spectacular Magazine. So, being in Raleigh, which is one of the fastest growing cities right now, does that help with the recruiting process at all and bringing players that help best fit your team?
For some it does. I think the internships that are available due to the growth and the fact that it's still growing and Apple bringing all this stuff to the Triangle, it definitely helps for the guys that care about that, you know. And I also think it being the capital, the different things that are already there industry-wise, and now that NIL is what it is, there's opportunity in that, you know, to have more corporations, more businesses for these guys to potentially be contacted by through the collective. So, you know, it's crazy being there now, going on 11 years and seeing the growth of our city every year. And the highways are a mess. They can't keep up with the growth and the number of new schools and, you know, new restaurants, new this, new that. It's an awesome place to live right now. And so for the guys that get there and realize it, I don't think they know how good they have it. You know, trust me, being a coach that's lived all over the country, been in big towns, farm towns, you name it, Raleigh's got it going right now. It's an awesome place to live and work.
Coach, actually, your last question from the podium, given your passion for NC State, we always like to get the soundbite. The Wolfpack have won 16 of their last 17 at Carter Finley. Talk about the fan base.
Yeah, Wolfpack Nation, we've already sold more tickets. This was 2 weeks ago. They told me there was only 2,000 seats left for the entire season, completely combined. And so the most tickets they've ever sold in school history for football, the most revenue generated from that as well. Last year they added these lights that turn on and off and go red and all this, which was pretty cool for the players and the fans. Now we have the largest jumbotron in the league with the new sound system, which is going to add even more to the game day environment, which I know will fire our fans up. So we love the Wolfpack fan base and continue to ask them just to be in the stands for 4 quarters and try to make life hell on the opponents.
Coach, thank you. If you'll switch places with your quarterback, Brennan, if you'll step up. Folks, we've got 5 minutes with Brennan. I know there are going to be a lot of questions. We'll try to get to as many as we can. Brennan, welcome back to Kickoff. This is like number 7 for you or something, right?
Thank you, yep.
Let's start in our fourth row to our right. Gentleman in the black shirt.
Perfect lead in. Grayson Boone, Locked On Wolfpack. Brennan, this is your 3rd consecutive ACC kickoff. Can you talk about the responsibility of being a leader for a football team this year with NC State?
Yeah, I think it's a huge deal. Obviously, I'm a new face. I think Coach Doran hit it. Coming into the team, I just put my head down and worked hard, and now I'm just trying to I've kind of started to be a vocal leader, and I kind of said this a few other times out there. I think I'm going to start showing a little bit more fiery side of me. I've been kind of cool, calm, and collected. I don't want to, scare some guys on game day if I just get fired up out of nowhere, because technically that's how I play. I've been kind of playing it cool. So I think I'm just going to incorporate that a little bit here into fall camp and just continue to be a voice, try to instill confidence and just determination on the offensive side.
Follow the aisle to the right side, about the 6th row.
Hey, Brennan, Joey Palermo, WQLU 90.9 The Light. You and offensive coordinator Robert and I returning to Charlottesville in a couple months. Can you just speak a little bit about how much thought you've put into returning to Virginia?
It's another game. I think every ACC game is going to be very important, especially without the divisions now. The top 2 go to the ACC championship game. It's going to be a cool experience. Boos, cheers, whatever comes with it. I'm just there to win a game. So that's going to be my mindset going into that game.
Brennan, stay right there just behind him. The 2 gentlemen will get your next 2 questions.
Hey, Brennan. Mike Barber from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Good to see you again. About that relationship with Robert and I, how has it changed from when he was first coaching you to maybe where you are now as more of a veteran?
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning when I was a freshman, sophomore, I used to hate him. He knows that. He was on me all the time. It grew as I got older, and now it's honestly a great relationship. It was weird. I said this before. It was weird going into the NC State, facility and then seeing Coach Anai, a familiar face in a different area. So that was a little weird for me and just a new experience. But it's grown. He treats me like a grown man now. So that's kind of cool, seeing where it started and where it's at now. But no, it's same old Anai. Like I think you've obviously had interviews with him. It's same old Anai still though. But yeah.
Keep your focus right there. The gentleman next to him in the blue.
Hey, Brennan, Gene Wong with the Washington Post. How much do you stay in touch with your former teammates at Virginia? I imagine you guys have a bond for life given all you had to go through last season.
Yeah, no, I stay in touch with most of them. Most of the older guys that are still there, I've obviously came up and played, 3-4 seasons with them. So I keep in touch with them here and there. we check in on each other just to see how things are going. Most of them, a lot of the quarterbacks still, and then a few of the running backs, a few of the receivers. Some of the guys are gone, so they're just out of Virginia, and they're either in the NFL or doing something else. So I still keep in touch with some of those guys. But no, yeah, like you said, what happened made us definitely become closer. Yeah.
To your left, first row.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. You were talking about Coach Anai, just what he brings out of you in your game that makes you feel like this one last opportunity and this last ride could give you the best opportunity for the NFL.
Just lets me be me. I don't feel confined. I don't feel like I'm locked up at all. I'm just allowed to play how I want to play. I think he's got a good idea of how I play, kind of my thoughts. I got a good idea how he thinks. Everyone talks about the running quarterback. Like, he lets me run the ball. He doesn't care. Like, he designs things for those things too. And I think I'm at my best when I'm able to just play free and not, worried about those type of things like sliding or anything like that. Obviously, there's certain situations to do those things in, and I'm well aware of that. But he just allows me to play free and just lets me go out there and just play the game and have fun.
Back to your right, fourth row.
Kenton Gibbs with Locked On ACC. Brennan, everybody's talking about, your relationship with Robert and I and all that and the things that are familiar to you, but I want to talk about what's new to you a little bit in terms of a lot of people are saying that these are the best group of weapons that you've had in your career. So can you elaborate on whether or not you agree with that assertion and how you feel in terms of playing with this new set of guys that
Just
you have to
the
play with?
NC State offense in general, just the guys on the offensive side?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I noticed when I came in was just the eagerness that they're willing to just put their head down and work. I felt like they kind of let the team down a little bit last year, and then this year they're willing to work and are eager to get better. And so that's what I've noticed right away. And that's all you can really ask for. Like, that's all I really ask for is just the eagerness and the work ethic they have, and they've shown that. And I'm just super excited. I think we're going to have a lot of guys step up. I think in fall camp we're going to start to really confine on what we want to do, motions, and certain things that we're trying to create as an offense. And I think we're going to see a lot of guys really step into their role well and start to separate themselves. And so I'm just kind of looking forward to that and just seeing who that is.
Brennan, thank you. You can swap places with Aiden. Aiden will spend about 5 minutes with you folks. Once again, please establish yourself and the agency that you're with. That'd be a great help. We're going to go to our right side. Aiden, fourth row, gentleman in the black shirt.
Grayson Boone, Locked On Wolfpack. Aiden, you played the most coverage snaps in the country without allowing a touchdown last year with 482. Can you talk about the attitude and the swagger that comes with being a lockdown corner in this league?
For myself, I say I play on the left side, so when the quarterback open up, right-hand quarterback, they see me automatically. I like that a lot for myself, for my defense. With the pressure that my D-line penetrates, the quarterback got to get the ball off so fast that it's not time for a deep route. They're running slants, they're running glances, something fast I can make a play on.
Aiden, we're going to go left side, second row, gentleman with his hand in the air.
Corey Smith with Pack Pride on 24/7 Sports. I wanted to ask you, Aiden, in particular, do you feel like the expectations of you have changed since last year? How much has that changed given where you were at this point last year compared to where you are going into this year?
I wouldn't say the expectations have changed because the coaching staff already know what I can do, and I just hope to replicate what I did do last season.
Aiden, we're going to get that microphone, same side, third row. See you're moving that way.
Hey, Aiden. Ethan McDowell from the Wolfpacker. I was just wondering what you've been working on this offseason. What's kind of the next step in your game that you're trying to improve?
I've just been watching film on myself a lot recently, looking at my weaknesses and trying to make those my strengths, especially with eye discipline, press man, and being more physical in the run game.
Do you have a follow-up, Ethan?
Yeah, I was just wondering what were those weaknesses and what's the kind of just what are you doing to address them?
Kind of like I was saying, just with eye discipline on the upside, I had got a lot of that towards the end of the season, start messing me up, so that my press man and just working more on my feet, coming out of my breaks, being more disciplined.
We're going to stay on the left side right there on the front row. Get that microphone down there.
Aiden, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Last season, 46 total tackles, 4 interceptions. What have you done in this offseason to elevate your game, those specific areas that you've keyed in on and you think are going to maybe increase those numbers this year?
I would say just working out with our strength staff. Coach Stunner does a great job with us in the weight room and on the field, getting us in shape. So just becoming stronger in my legs, coming stronger in my upper body all around so I can have more solo tackles this year.
Turn your attention to the right, fourth row.
Kenton Gibbs with Locked On ACC. Last year, most people would look at the linebacking core and say that that was the strength of this team. That was the heart and soul of this team in terms of Peyton Wilson, who's up there with you now, Isaiah Moore and Drake Thomas, who are both going on to the NFL at this point in time. But this year, it seems a very decided advantage for NC State in terms of the defensive backfield over everybody else. Can you talk about how well or how you're expecting the defensive backfield to play in this upcoming season as they're expected to lead this defense to some extent?
Yeah, I expect our defense to be number one in the passing defense throughout the whole league. We just have a lot of depth coming back and a lot of experience. For example, our corners, our safeties, and our nickels, we all watch film together, keying on things that we need to do for the season. So just having that depth and having that experience all around can help. If a man goes down, we have the next man coming up.
You go back to the left side. Our gentleman from the technician, hand in the air. See him about midway through.
Noah Teague, technician. You have a very talented teammate in the defensive backfield in Shaheem Battle. Could you talk about his influence on and off the field to you?
It's crazy. It's really a full circle moment because I came in 2020 and Shaheem came in 2019. So Shah was one of the first guys that hit me up, asking me to train as soon as I got on campus. So I really appreciate one of him, that guy reaching out to me. And just knowing that when the ball go up in the air, Shaheem's so consistent that I don't really have to worry about traveling sides with a wide receiver because I know what he's going to do on that side. So it's just easy for our defense and our offense to have two shutdown corners playing on both sides.
Aiden, thank you. We can switch out with Peyton, and we'll spend the last 5 minutes of this year's kickoff media event with Peyton Wilson, linebacker from just down the road in Hillsboro. Our questions for Peyton, please. Peyton, we're going to hustle the microphone to the first row to your left.
Peyton, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. You went through things out of your control in your career at NC State, suffering injuries and having to kind of bounce back from that. To look back on that adversity to where you are today, just what you can say about how it didn't break you, but essentially made you into the player that you are as you step into 2023.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I tell people this all the time, that the injuries that have happened to me, yeah, they kind of suck, but at the end of the day, they made me a better person on and off the field. Like being younger and just playing injury-free, I used to take the game for granted. I didn't really understand that next snap could be my last. And then just mentally, I mean, just the things that it's engraved in me as a person, it's tough watching people do what you love to do and you can't do it for year after year. So just, that mentality that comes with that and just understanding that nothing's guaranteed in this life and you got to give your 100% every percent of the time.
Peyton, to your right, fourth row.
Grayson Boone, Locked On Wolfpack. You deciding to come back to NC State is a massive boost to what was already a very good defense last year. Can you talk about your hunger to reintroduce yourself as one of the top linebackers in this conference?
Yeah, I think, the not meeting our goals last season, just kind of the way it unraveled. And, as a defense, we had what everyone says is a good year, but we didn't meet our requirements. We didn't win every game, and we put that on ourselves because people were able to score. So just getting back to that mentality of nobody scores a point on us, the other team can't win. It doesn't really matter, what happens on the offensive side of the ball, because if they don't score, they can't win. And then just trying to just carry that over the years and carry that intensity, that violence that we played with last year into this year.
Peyton, left side, sixth row, gentleman in the blue shirt.
Griffin Cunningham, Agromech. In terms of health and leadership, do you feel as though you have more to offer this year in comparison to years past?
Yeah, I've kind of, just with certain guys, Isaiah was that vocal leader for us in the past for the last 3 years, and with him being gone, just kind of coming out of this shell, it's not only helped me become a better leader, but just, in situations like this, public speaking and everything that I do, it's just helped me so much. And then just, learning more about myself, getting out of my comfort zone. It's something that, you can ask any of these guys up here. I used to never talk. I used to never be around like all that leadership stuff. But now that I'm bought into it and I understand the meaning of it. I really take pride in it, and I try to do it to my best of my ability.
Peyton, back to your right, fourth row.
Kenton Gibbs with Locked On ACC. I chatted with Coach Thunder recently, and he said that this is the fastest team that NC State has fielded that he's ever seen. Can you talk about what you are seeing in terms of team speed and how you think that's going to play out on Saturdays and Thursdays and whenever else you play throughout this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the past, when you think of NC State, you just think of a team that's blue-collared and they're going to play you as hard as possible. But, I mean, we still have all those standards. But this summer and the times that we were seeing and the 40s that people were running, not only 40s, but the pro agility, I mean, it's some of the craziest statistics, times that I've ever seen. I mean, credit to Coach Thunder and what he's doing with us. But, I mean, yeah, we're going to be flying around, but on both sides of the ball at every position. I mean, we're going to have 300-pound men running 4.840s and stuff like that. So it's pretty crazy.
Peyton, your last question comes from the podium. There are a lot of student athletes that when they choose to go to school, they like to get away from home. Why is it that being from Hillsborough, you decided to stay so close to home?
I'm a big-time mama's boy, and I would never leave my mom. That is 100% why, and that is why I'm here.
Mom will be proud with the soundbite, and on that, I think we will conclude. So, NC State, good luck and thank you. Folks, that's going to wrap us up for ACC Kickoff 2023. We appreciate all that you do. Staff is here to help as you begin to wrap up your process. Stay safe out there, and we will see you on the road.